Today we're going to talk about why I think that eBay dropshipping is a great business to start in 2018. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Paul. I run a website, dropshippingtitans.com. And if you're watching this video, chances are you're interested in learning about how to make money online. If you don't already have a successful eBay dropshipping business, then chances are you fall into one of two different camps. First, there are those of you who are already making money online with a different business model. Maybe you run an Amazon FBA store, or maybe you have a Shopify store, and you're looking for a way to diversify your income. Well, I think that's a really smart idea, and this model of eBay dropshipping is a really great way to diversify your income because it is a pretty simple business model that you can run in addition to running your other business. It won't get in the way of your other business. Now, if you don't already have a successful business, then chances are you are looking for an opportunity, looking for something that you can learn to do online. And this is where I was when I started. And actually, before I started eBay dropshipping, I had tried other business models in the past. I tried starting a Shopify store, for instance, and I failed at it. But the great thing about eBay dropshipping, why I think it's such a good opportunity for new people who have never sold online before or have no e-commerce experience, is because it's called what we call in the industry the low-hanging fruit. And basically what that is think about a tree. And the tree, it's a fruit tree. Maybe it's an apple tree. And it's full of apples, and there's a whole bunch at the top. There's some in the middle, and there's some hanging low on the low branches. Now, you could climb all the way to the top and grab the fruit all the way at the top, but why would you when there's fruit right there on the low-hanging branches that you can easily grab without even reaching your arm all the way up? And that's what we mean by the low-hanging fruit. And I really think that eBay dropshipping is that fruit on the lower branches, because with eBay dropshipping, you don't need to have experience creating websites. Like with the Shopify store, one of the things I struggled with at first when I was creating my Shopify store was learning how to make it look nice pictures, getting all the text correctly, researching what it means, what different colors mean, what it means to a consumer when they see this color or that color. All those things you have to think about when you're creating your own website. In addition to that, when I had to connect with other manufacturers and get them to agree to drop ship items through my store, that was really difficult. If you run something like a Shopify store, you also need to worry about advertising. That means you have to pay for Facebook ads or Google ads, or you have to spend a lot of time trying to figure out SEO. It's a lot for someone who's new. I know it was a lot for me, and I never really figured it out. And I don't think that's why I did well with it. But with eBay dropshipping, you don't have to worry about any of that. We are hosting our items on an established marketplace that has a huge customer base, ebay.com. We don't have to worry about coding or the way it looks. That's all done for us by ebay.com, including the advertising. That's all handled for us. And the other thing I love about eBay dropshipping is that there's very little risk with getting started. With something like an Amazon FBA product or a Shopify store, when you get started, you are picking a niche. You are assuming or hoping, you're going to do research beforehand, of course, but you're really hoping after all that research that you found the perfect item. But if you screw that up, if you screw up your niche or you don't buy the right item for your FBA on Amazon, that's it. It's pretty much over. Then you have to go back and start over. But that's not the case with eBay dropshipping, because if you list up an item that doesn't sell, guess what? You just delete it. That's the beauty of dropshipping. You never actually have to buy the item until someone buys it from you. That's the point that you buy it. So you're able to validate these products before you sell them. And that's one of the really hugest benefits of running an eBay dropshipping business. Why I think it's one of the best ways to get started in 2018. Another great reason I think to get started with eBay dropshipping in this day and age is because more and more commerce is moving online. more and more people. There's now billions of dollars being spent online. And you don't need all of that. You don't need to be the next Amazon.com. You only need the tiniest sliver of that e-commerce pie in order to be successful, in order to make enough money to change your life. And the great thing about this is that you can do this from anywhere in the world. Because you are drop shipping, you never actually see the physical products. You can do this from your home. You can do this during your lunch breaks at work. You can do this from a sailboat. You can do this while you're on vacation. It really is a location-independent job because it's all online. So for those reasons, I think it's really great to start an eBay dropshipping business in 2018. Whether it's your first business, because it is that low-hanging fruit, it will be a way for you to break into the world of e-commerce, get some experience, and then, if you love it, if you really love e-commerce after you start eBay dropshipping, then that's fantastic. Continue your store, continue to make money from it. But like I say, it's always a great idea to diversify after that point. So for those of you who already have successful businesses, maybe you have a Shopify store and you figured it out like I couldn't, or you have an Amazon FBA product that's doing well. Also consider dropshipping because like I said, the risk is really low and you're going to be able to run both your businesses really well because dropshipping is a really simple model to get started with. So today is a Tuesday, which means that it's time for another live Q&A. And if you guys have any questions and you're here live, make sure to drop them into the live chat. Of course, I'll be happy to answer them right now for you. But if you're watching this on the replay, ask your question in the comments section of any of my videos, and I will write it down and answer it next week during my next live Q&A. I do these almost every Tuesday night Eastern Standard Time at 8 p.m. Eastern. So I did have a couple of questions already because we have a bunch of people in the chat right now. Lucky Lifestyle Designer was one of the first people here tonight, so welcome, man. He says, do you offer free returns as a drop shipper? Is it possible to offer free returns since eBay has been saying that they're going to favor people who have free returns? So yeah, Lucky Lifestyle, it is really possible to do this as a drop shipper. So what this means is that free returns as opposed to buyer paid return. Now, if you ship out an item, or rather if your supplier ships out an item and it arrives damaged or it's the wrong product, then no matter what, you're responsible for getting it back to the supplier. But in that case, it's really easy because you just go to the supplier and tell them, hey, this item arrived damaged or received the wrong item. They're going to give you a return label, which you then send to your customer on eBay. That customer then prints it out, puts it on the package, and they ship it right back to the supplier. So you never see the item. The difference with where the difference comes in is with buyer's remorse. When a buyer purchases an item from you on eBay, they receive it. It's perfectly fine, but they just don't want it anymore. So what happens in that case is if you have buyer paid returns, then the buyer is going to be responsible to pay to ship it back. And they're going to ship it back directly to you, not back to the supplier. But if you offer free returns, then you can give them a return label from the supplier. So you can just get that supplier's return label, like I told you before, get it to the buyer, and the buyer ships it directly back to the customer. That way, the customer's happy, you're happy, and everyone pretty much gets all their money back. The only thing you're going to lose out on is the 30-cent transaction fee that PayPal doesn't return to you. So yeah, it is possible to do free returns as long as you have a good supplier who is always going to allow you to return items very easily. Okay. So Andrew Feely has a question for me. Andrew knows that I dropship a lot of items from HomeDepot.com, and Andrew is saying that he has a Home Depot account, and he's also dropshipping items from HomeDepot.com. And recently, he's been getting these emails where every time he ships out a bunch of items to customers, he gets an email from Home Depot that says, your default shipping or your default address has been updated. And he doesn't really know what this is. Now, to be honest, Andrew, I'm not quite certain what this is either because I haven't received these emails. And the reason why I haven't received these emails is because I always use guest checkout. I don't have my VAs, or I don't either, log into my Home Depot account. I actually don't even have a Home Depot account anymore, or I'm sure I do, but I just don't remember the password, because what they do is they check out as guests. And the reason for that is because I found that if they log into my Home Depot account and place the order that way, that for whatever reason, sometimes Home Depot their website will change the shipping address for the customers to my address, to the billing address, which is my address. And we've tried everything to fix this, and other people said they've had this problem and they were able to fix it by changing their browser, because they said it only happens on Chrome, but if you use Internet Explorer, it doesn't happen. Well, we've tried that. It doesn't work. I've tried everything with them. For some reason, they will go through the whole checkout process, enter in the correct address. After they pay for the item, we get an email letting us know what the order confirmation number is, along with all the shipping addresses. And it's not until that step that we realize that somehow in the background, the system had changed all the shipping addresses, or some of them, to my address. And it's just a big headache. No matter what we did, we were unable to fix it. So that email you got, Andrew, you're only going to get if you actually have a Home Depot account and you're checking out through that process. As far as I know, it hasn't impacted anyone's ability to use the website. Maybe it's just a new thing that they've updated as a security measure, so that if the address changes, you get notified about it. Just like if you change information on your PayPal account or eBay account, you'll also get a notification about that as well. And that's to prevent against any security risks. So I think that's all it is. But if this evolves into something else, I'm sure I'll hear about it, because I have a lot of students who use Home Depot, and some of them don't use the guest checkout like I do. So of course, if I hear anything, I'll keep you guys updated on it. Okay, Mr. Medina is asking a question. He says he found a seller on eBay and everything in their store is refurbished. Is it safe to sell those? So I do know some dropshippers who sell open boxed or refurbished items. It is definitely a more, I would say, advanced technique to try. And the reason for that is because it's going to greatly increase the number of returns that you get. Now, that's probably because when the item was returned to the source originally, before it was labeled as open boxed, that there might have been something wrong with it, or somebody used it. And the really important thing here is that you make clear in your listing that it is a refurbished or open box item. Now, personally, I don't sell these. I stay away from them. But I do know people who have been able to do it successfully. But I would say that it is a more advanced technique, so to speak. And Todd made a comment about Home Depot, about the tax exempt with Home Depot. And Todd, if you check out as a guest on Home Depot, you can still use your tax exempt number. And Paul L. makes another excellent point about Home Depot, which is when you're using a login for it, your account, when you do that, you do have to delete addresses and then add new addresses. It can be a big pain. So that's another reason to do guest checkout. So Bobby is asking, let's keep talking about Home Depot here. So Bobby is asking for any sort of update about Home Depot's return policy change for third-party returns. And I talked about this last week, so I won't go too in-depth about it this week. But basically what Home Depot has been telling some people is that they can't return the items because they are a drop shipper, basically. But as far as I know, that's only happening if you ask for returns during the night shift, when it's nighttime in in the United States. So far, my virtual assistants who are awake more during US working hours aren't having a problem. We're not having any trouble with our returns. Okay. Oh, shoot, I lost all the, okay. Same email for both eBay. Okay. Trying to get to a good question here. So I had some questions from the week. So let me grab one of those ones because I had a great one. Koi asks a question. That's a really interesting question. It's never one I even considered before or heard before. The first question Koi asked me is, what makes dropshipping different from other e-commerce? And I kind of answered that in the beginning of this video, so I won't really answer that again. But the second question is, what kind of people fit into the Dropshipping Titans community, or sorry, into the dropshipping community? And that's a kind of interesting question. And I don't think there's really one type of specific person that fits into this community. I think it can really stretch across a wide group of different people. Just looking at my YouTube analytics of people who are interested in my channel, because on my channel, as of the making of this video, I primarily talk about eBay dropshipping. It's pretty much what all my videos are about. I've talked a little bit about Amazon dropshipping as well. And one of the cool things about YouTube is I can see the demographics of people who are watching my videos. Overwhelmingly, the people are male, and overwhelmingly, the people are between the ages of 18 and 35. Now, I know there's a lot of you out there who fall outside that range. I have a lot of mothers who are inside my course. I know I have people who are over 35, a couple of people who are under 18 as well, and all sorts of different people, different socioeconomic backgrounds, different interests, different hobbies. So I don't think there's really one type or group of people who are interested in this, other than entrepreneurs. And really, entrepreneurs spread the whole gamut of different groups of people and interests, just like I was talking about before. So I don't think you can really pigeonhole it too much. I think it can be really anyone who's interested in making an online business for themselves. Okay, let's see. And Filippo asked me a question about gift cards and wants to know why I would use gift cards as opposed to credit cards or PayPal balance. And that's a good question. And I've answered this before, but not quite the way that you've asked it. So I kind of want to answer this again. So I use gift cards because it's easy to give my virtual assistants the gift cards instead of credit cards, and then they use those gift cards to purchase the items. Now, one cool thing I discovered recently is a website called privacy.com. And privacy.com links up with your bank account, and it kind of it kind of creates these debit cards for you. And the cool thing is that you can limit the use of the debit cards. You can say that, oh, this debit card, it basically gives you a virtual or fake credit card. And it says, this credit card, I only want to be used on HomeDepot.com. And this one can only be used on Walmart.com. And for that one on Home Depot, you can only use up to $100 a day, let's say, or $1,000 a day on it. And it will allow you to do that. Now, the thing with Home Depot, though, is that they have really high fraud protection in place. So even though I've tried to let my virtual assistants use those credit cards and given them the numbers for it, they couldn't get it to work because of that fraud protection that's in place on Home Depot. So that's why I still continue to use gift cards for that reason. The reason I don't use, and I should also say that when I refill the gift cards, I use my credit cards to refill them. So I'm still getting the points on them. Now, the reason I don't use PayPal balance, I try to never use my PayPal balance, is because it makes the bookkeeping very difficult. Just in general, PayPal is very difficult when it comes to bookkeeping for me. And I'm not sure if it's just because I don't know how to read it, but I've spent a lot of time trying to figure it out, and I do find it confusing. And the reason for that is because, let's say I check out on Walmart.com and I choose to pay with PayPal. Well, when I actually pay with PayPal, I'm using my credit card, which is inside PayPal. PayPal has my credit card information. So at the end of the month, though, when I look at my PayPal, when I look at my credit card statement, I'll see that charge. When I look on PayPal, it's also there, although it has like a label to it to kind of let you know, but that it was that you use your credit card. But it always confuses me. I always forget which label means what. So I'm always afraid I'm going to double up on the cost of goods for that item. So in other words, it's going to show $100 on my credit card, but also on the PayPal statement, it's going to show $100, but I only count one of them. So that always confuses me. And then it gets even more confusing when I use my PayPal balance as well. So I just try to avoid using the PayPal balance. And then whenever I'm doing my bookkeeping at the end of the month, I spend about like 5 minutes going through my credit card statements and my bank account statements. It's really easy to do. And then I spend about 2 hours going through my PayPal statement. And that's because I have a lot of transactions every month. So in the beginning, you're not going to have as much trouble as I am, but that's still something I struggle with. It's not my strong point, bookkeeping, that's for sure. Let's see. I don't want to skip too many questions, but I want to get back to where we were. And Crypto says that you can get the PayPal business debit card. The only issue with that is that you're limited to, if I remember correctly, 30 transactions in a day with that. So that will, again, that's going to use your PayPal balance. But with 30 transactions in a day, that gets to be difficult as a drop shipper, especially if you're drop shipping from a website like Home Depot, because let's say you buy 10 items on an order, that doesn't count as one transaction, that counts as 10 different transactions. So you can get to 30 transactions in a day very quickly. Let's see what else. Okay, so let's look at a question I had from Juan. Juan is, oh, no, this is one of my students, Juan. Juan, I just want to celebrate Juan's success because he had his first sale today. So congratulations to Juan. He posted that inside the Dropshipping Titans mastermind group that comes along with my course. So congratulations to Juan. And I also had a question from Gail, because Gail was asking me about variations. If you notice on some websites, like let's say you're in Walmart, you might see an item and it comes in 2 different colors, red or blue. Now, unfortunately, DSM tool doesn't allow you to account for variations. You'll have to list another product that doesn't have variations. And if you notice, I've noticed that there are some newer listing softwares that do allow for variations. But even they have stated that they allow for variations for now, but there's a chance that might change in the future. And I think that's because as you get more people coming in and using the software, I think it gets more and more like strain on the system to handle variations for some reason. I wish I had become more prepared for the answer to this question, but that's my general understanding of it. Now, of course, there is software out there that does do variations, but I still use DSM tool because I think it's very affordable and I think it works really well for what it does. And it does a lot. I think it's a real powerhouse. Okay. We have Ginger Hustle back here. Ginger Hustle is one of those guys I mentioned before who's doing this, even though, if I remember right, you're under 18, so a teenager, and you're already taking action. So it's always great to see you here, man. Let's see. So Seth is saying that he's out of PayPal jail, but PayPal and eBay keeps withholding funds for certain item. What's the deal? Seth, have you noticed a pattern for what those items are, or if they're certain transactions? Wu-Tang is asking me about AliExpress. Have I ever used it to dropship from? I've tended to stay away from AliExpress and Banggood because of the slower shipping times. But I am always up to challenging my assumptions or challenging my prior conceptions of the way things have to be with eBay dropshipping. So this is something I'm going to be exploring in the coming months, just testing it out very lightly and seeing how it goes, and of course reporting back to you guys what I think of AliExpress and Banggood and other websites like that. But so far right now, I don't have enough information to really tell you guys what I think about them yet. Yeah, and Connie is making a good point that you can have as many eBay accounts as you want. You just have to make sure that you always use a new email address for them. The only snag here is that I think you can only have up to 8 eBay accounts attached to one PayPal account, if I'm remembering that correctly. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I've had a couple people ask me about product research tools. S. Hyde just asked about it. Someone else asked me before about Zeek Analytics. Who was that? Sorry, I lost it. But somebody was asking about Zeek Analytics, whether I like that. So here's the deal. There are a few different softwares out there that will let you help you find profitable items to sell on eBay. Now, the two that I've been using recently with great success are Zeek Analytics and Chili Hunter. I think they both work really well. And I just forgot that I do have affiliate links to those, but I don't have them up anywhere. So if you wanted to check out Zeek Analytics, for instance, you can go to pauljlipsky.com/Zeek, Z-I-K, and that would get it for you guys. Otherwise, I'll put the links to both of them underneath this video once we're done live. I'll hopefully remember to do that. So those both work really well, and they really allow you to speed up the product research really much quicker. Oh, wow, looks like we have over 200 people here again. So that's pretty awesome. We have so many of you guys out here. Let's see what else. Yeah, and Shannon says, using Zeek right now. Yeah, a lot of people really, really like that one. So I do have an announcement for you guys. For those of you who haven't heard, what I'm going to be doing, I've already had hundreds of people go through my Dropshipping Titans course. But in that time, since I launched it in January, so it's now been about 7 months, some of my students are absolutely crushing. A lot of my students are doing really well with it. But in that same time period, there have been several changes that happened on eBay, some Supreme Court cases that have kind of changed things. So I do want to do like a little facelift, so to speak, for my course, change some really important stuff in there that I think people really need to know about moving into Q4. So that change is going to be happening in the next couple of weeks if everything goes according to plan. But before I implement all these changes, I want to hear from you guys. So if you're here live, or preferably later after this video is over, if you're watching this on replay, drop into the comment section of this video what you want to see in an eBay dropshipping course. And chances are it's already in my course, but if there's something new, especially if you're one of my students already, and you want to learn something else that's not in there, make sure to drop that suggestion in the comments. I will read them. I will take them to heart. I will consider them and see if there's room for them or the best place for them inside the course, because I want to make this, I'm making these updates for you guys. I want to make sure that this is the best and most up-to-date, the most relevant course available for eBay dropshipping. So I'll gather all that information, combine it with what I already want to put in there. I've already made a ton of new videos for the course, and I'll be talking more about that probably next week if everything goes according to plan. And then I'll keep you guys updated as I hear from you guys what it is that you want. So let's see. some more of these questions. Yeah, Phil's making a good point about becoming tax exempt and collecting tax. There's a difference between being tax exempt and collecting tax on eBay. Really good point, Phil Clark. Thanks for clarifying this. Just because you're tax exempt, let's say, just for instance, you're tax exempt in every state. Just because you're tax exempt in every state doesn't mean you should be collecting sales tax for all the states on eBay. That's just not the way it works. I highly suggest you speak to a CPA about it, even though I do cover a lot of this inside my course. And that's actually one of the modules that's going to be updated because there's been some major changes to sales tax in 2018 with the Supreme Court ruling. So I just saw we got a super chat from Slinky Does It. Slinky Does It says, drop me $6. So thank you, man. Really appreciate that. You asked me, is it bad practice to mix up physical items I have and drop shipping items, or should I start a separate drop shipping eBay account? This depends on a couple of things, really. So if your store that you already have is really very casual, you don't sell much on it, maybe you sell a couple of or a few things a year just to get rid of some junk in your house, then I don't think there's anything wrong with turning that into a drop shipping store. So long as that store has good metrics, meaning you don't have any defects on the account, you got good feedback. If that's the case, then I would definitely turn it into a drop shipping store. And the reason for that is because, especially if it's an older account, there's a greater likelihood that you have a higher listing limit. And this is one of the hardest things for new sellers to get over or get past, is this listing limit. But if you can jumpstart that process by using an older account, you're going to be far ahead of a lot of other people. Now, as for the case where you're using this eBay store that you already have for another business, maybe you're a thrifter, or you do retail arbitrage, for instance, then in that case, I would suggest that you open a second account that you use specifically for eBay dropshipping. And the reason for that is because you're going to have different handling times. You're going to have different shipping times, just in general, different business policies. So that's all things that you want to keep in mind, and that's why you want to start a second account there. Glenn is asking about Home Depot gift cards. See, when I buy my Home Depot gift cards, I buy them directly on eBay. Getting myself all mixed up here. Okay, when I buy my Home Depot gift cards, I buy them directly on HomeDepot.com. I actually haven't bought a new gift card in a long time. I have 10 of them right now. And what I do is I just refill them all. You can put up to $2,000 a day on it, but you can only recharge a certain amount at a time. It's a little confusing, but just know you can have pretty much up to $2,000 a day on the cards. I don't have $2,000 on all of them. I just kind of cycle through them because just the way they work, you can't refill too much at a time or too much within a 24-hour period. So I just found that it works best to have 10 and to cycle through them. Glenn, on the other hand, buys his Home Depot gift cards from a website called Cardpool. And the reason Glenn does that is because he's buying them at a discount. He's buying, let's say, a $100 Home Depot gift card for $95. So he saved $5. Doesn't sound like a lot, but that's an extra 5% profit margin right there. If you can do that 100 times or 1,000 times over, that money really does add up. So good for Glenn for doing that. I don't have the patience for that. Myself, it's just become too much of a hassle for my team to manage all those different gift cards. So Glenn is asking, can he refill those gift cards? And the answer is sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. You really just have to go onto the Home Depot website and ask to refill them and see if you can. I've had experiences where I can and some where I can't. And I'm not really sure what the pattern is. I think it has more to do with the way the gift card was originally created. If it was created as someone went on Home Depot and bought a gift card, then chances are you can refill it. But if this was a return, see, if you buy an item with a gift card and then return it, they're going to mail you or email you a new gift card. if in that case, I don't think those ones can be refilled. And luxury card store is no. Action Spotlight says, how do you find items that sell on eBay? Well, check out it's in the live chat. It's the second link in the description. But after I add the links to Zeek Analytics and Chili Hunter, it's going to be the fourth link. So it's the fourth link down. It's the one that says free eBay dropshipping webinar. It's really a workshop that I put together that shows you how to find items that sell on eBay. And luxury card store is asking the difference between Zeek and Chili Hunter. I'm sure other people have different opinions on this, but really I think they both work really well, and there's not a huge difference between them. But one thing that Chili Hunter works really well with is if you are if you drop ship from Amazon onto eBay, I think it works a little bit better for that because it actually checks to see if the item is available on Amazon and actually links up to it. But not a huge difference, the core of what they do. I think they both work really well. Okay, Chris Hubby is here, and Chris Hubby dropped a $5 super chat. So thanks so much, Chris, for that. And Chris is saying, Paul, thanks for sharing your knowledge. I'm at the point where I need to hire a VA, a virtual assistant. Is a 7-day work week typical for VAs? What about 4 hours a day? Yeah, you got to talk to the people that you're interviewing about this. I would first figure out for yourself what kind of schedule you need. Do you need someone 7 days a week? Is 6 days a week fine? Is 5 days a week fine? Find out what your ideal would be. Even if you don't think it's practical, find out what your ideal is. Now, I have virtual assistants who are working for me 7 days a week, every week of the year. And I've offered them days off. I've offered them weekends off, holidays off, and said I would hire someone else to cover for them, or we would just, not have a lot of work or not be in operation that day, and you can work extra hours the day after to make up. But they don't want that. Honestly, I've even on Christmas, I told my VAs, you guys, we're not going to work today, and they asked me to work. So I let them work. So that's what it comes down to. So yeah, they work 7 days a week, a lot of them. Not all of them. 2 of mine take Sundays off, which I'm totally fine with. And I do find that the ones from the Philippines more often will ask for holidays off or vacations off. But the thing I like about them is that they tend to be really inexpensive because I use the website onlinejobs.ph. And I do have a link to that in the description. It's under where it says hire VAs for $2 to $3 an hour. So that's why I still hire from the Philippines, because I just love that website. But I do have some VAs that I hired when I used to use Upwork, or when I used to hire from Upwork. And those VAs, a lot of them are from India. And I will say that the ones from India do have a really strong work ethic, and they never take a day off, which is pretty incredible. The only downside to them, though, is that their English isn't as good as the individuals from the Philippines. That's the only difference in, I guess you would call it, the only difference really between the two of them is the work ethic and the English speaking ability. But of course, this is like a gross over exaggeration. It's just, I haven't hired a ton of VAs. I think I've had maybe 20 different people who have worked for me over the course of my business, and a lot of them still work for me. So I don't think it's really fair for me to make this general blanket statement about them, but it's just been my observations up until now. But yeah, I think let me just answer your question straight out. Yeah, I think you can find people that will work for you 7 days a week. Okay, let's see. Dan O'Might is here from Staten Island, neighbors over here. I'm in Brooklyn, New York, if you guys didn't know where I'm at in the world. Arad is here. Arad says he shows up a lot, but he never participates in the live chat, so it's great that you're finally participating. Says, I'm a big fan of your show. I like that it's called show now. Do you have the issue in DSM tool that doesn't let you drop links from Amazon? What's up with that? What do you mean by drop links? Do you mean sometimes you'll put in a link and it doesn't work? Is that what you're talking about? And Laylee's asking where to find VAs from the Philippines. Check out the link in the description that says hire VAs for $2 to $3 an hour. The link underneath that, or you can just go to pauljlipsky.com/jobs. And that is an affiliate link, which means that if you guys click on it, I get like a small commission for it. It helps run this YouTube channel, but it doesn't cost you guys any extra to use that link. Okay, let's see another question from the week. Okay, the Eye of God asked me this week, what can happen to your store when there are Vero violations and the items are deleted by eBay? Is it a major problem or not? And in this case, he's saying the Vero item was not listed on the eBay Vero account pages. So what happens here? So what the Eye of God is talking about is the verified rights owner program through eBay. This is basically eBay's little copyright and, well, I shouldn't call it little. This is eBay's copyright and trademark program. So in other words, when we sell items on eBay, we're copying the pictures and descriptions from other websites. And those websites got those pictures and descriptions from the manufacturers. Now, in 99% of the cases, the manufacturer lets sellers use those pictures and description freely in order to sell their products. They have no issue with it. Some brands, on the other hand, very few of them, but some of them don't let you do that. And that's because they want to kind of have control over their brand, which I get. But so they say that their descriptions and their photos are copyrighted. So you're not allowed to use them without their permission. So eBay has a list of those items, those brands. And if you violate the Vero rules, in other words, if you list one of these items under one of these brands and you use their stock images and stock descriptions, then the listing will probably be taken down. In some cases, all they do is actually remove the image, which I saw for the first time last week. That was the first time that ever happened to me, where they removed just the image. Now, luckily, if you use a program like DSM Tool, which is a software I use to list my products, it will warn you before you try to list a Vero item. Actually, there's a setting so that it will prevent you entirely from listing it if you want to avoid that. Now, like Eye of God was saying, not everyone's on that list. So you might still list an item that the brand will come along and say, we don't want you listing that item with our photo and description, and ask eBay to take it down, and eBay will. Now, this has happened to me a few times, and all that happens is it gets taken down, and that's it. It's no big deal. And then I put it on a list so that I make sure that myself and my VAs don't list that item anymore. But DSM catches most of them, so it hasn't really been a big issue since they came along. Okay. And David is saying he cannot list at all from DSM right now. David, I'm not really sure what the issue is without being there looking over your shoulder as it's happening. I would connect with DSM's chat and ask them. Could be possible you don't have things set up correctly. You don't have maybe your business policies connected correctly. There's a lot of different things it could be. So I would chat with them and try to troubleshoot the issue with them, because they're going to know better than me. Ketsky. Oh, you just posted it. Validation result. Error. eBay errors. Not found. Shipping policy. Pops up every time. Yeah, so that's what I kind of thought it would be. You have to go into your settings of DSM Tool and make sure you have the correct business policy selected. And also go into eBay and make sure you have your business policies set up correctly, and that the one on eBay that you want to use, your default one, matches up with the one on DSM Tool. even when you have it all set up correctly, sometimes it doesn't work, and I'm not sure why. And then usually within a couple of hours, it's working again. So maybe it's just some sort of latency between when you have it up on your business policies on eBay and when it connects over with DSM tool. That's the only thing I can really think of. But every time that's happened for me, I just mess around with the business policies and it works. Okay. Oh, shoot. Just lost my spot here. And big props to Phil Clark, answering a lot of people's questions in the chat before I have a chance to answer them myself. So thank you, Phil, for doing that, because I can't get to every question. So it's great having you in there. So give a thumbs up for Phil. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, but if you guys are liking this video, do make sure to give it a thumbs up. But yeah, seriously, Phil, thanks for helping everyone out in the live chat. Really appreciate it. Let's see. Now, Denise is asking me if I advertise my eBay account or my eBay listings on social media or anything, or do you pay for advertising or just do free advertising? So I do not advertise outside of eBay. I don't think that's really necessary with eBay dropshipping, but I do pay eBay to promote my listings more than it shows up in the organic search results. So Kevin is asking about a customer. A customer that wants to cancel their order because it hasn't arrived yet, but the handling time hasn't even passed yet. So what should he do? Oh, no, the delivery date hasn't even passed yet. What should he do? How does eBay feel about this? Kevin, as soon as the buyer places the order, they have committed themselves to paying for the item, and they've committed to saying that they definitely want the item. So at that point, you are under no obligation to cancel it. Now, if you can cancel it, I do recommend that you do, only because the buyer will find some other reason to be mad at you. They'll make up some reason that they don't like the product and just return it anyway. So you can do everything in your power to return it, but if it's too late, just let them know it's too late. It's already shipped out. And the only thing they could do at this point is refuse delivery of the item. Okay. And Daniel's asking what to do when you're buying a bunch of items or you sold a bunch of items that were sourced from Amazon. But then when you go to buy those items, you suddenly learn that Amazon has a limit on the number or the amount of items that you can buy for that one. Hold on a second, guys. What do you do in that case? So in that case, sorry, puppy's whining. So in that case, what I always do is I just delete that item from my eBay account. You could start second Amazon stores and to get around those limits, but I'm always trying to find a solution that helps me streamline the process. And I think creating multiple accounts isn't very streamlined. So I think it's better for my business to just delete those items, and that's what I do. Okay. Oh yeah, and we have George Dean, another one of my students. So welcome, George. Says, thanks for helping me get tax exempt with Walmart. He managed to do it in one day. So congratulations, George. That's awesome. So S. Hyde has a question about my course. S. Hyde says, if someone takes my course and they need more than 1 hour with you, can they buy more time with you? So what S. Hyde is talking about is when you go to dropshippingtitans.com, you'll see that there's an option to just do a payment plan for the course, pay in full, which is cheaper, Or you can pay for the course in full and also get an hour of coaching with me. Now, if you need more than an hour, yeah, at that point you could send me a message or an email and we could arrange more time. That's no problem at all. The other thing you want to keep in mind, though, is that I'm really active in the Facebook group and I have a lot of really smart students in there, and I do these live chats every Tuesday night. So if you do have any questions, just ask them inside the mastermind, inside the Facebook group that you'll get access to as one of my students. And chances are we're going to answer your question at no extra cost to you in there. And I know I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot there because, you know, if I didn't say that, you would pay for my coaching, but that's the truth, honestly. You go inside the Facebook group, you ask a question, and you're going to get the answer to your question at no extra cost to you. So just keep that in mind before you you pay for the coaching. Okay. Okay. Oh, Brian is asking me about virtual assistants. Brian says, how many virtual assistants should I interview before hiring one? Even though if I really like one already, but not sure if I need to get more interviews first. So Brian, I found that when I first started to hire virtual assistants, to interview them, I always felt like, wow, the first person that I interviewed was awesome. But you do still want to interview other people because you are going to discover that there are a lot of really experienced people out there, people who are really qualified for the job. And the chances that the first person that you interview is the best one for the job is really slim if you think about it. Now, I understand why it's very tempting to do that because, you know, interviewing and going through that whole process can be a pain. And in addition, a lot of the VAs, you know, they do know enough to help you run your store, and they do know enough to fit the job description. But if you keep interviewing people, I think there's a good chance you're going to find someone better, because that's definitely what happened with me. The first job I posted, I just hired the first person, and he was great. I thought he was really great, but then as I found out, he really wasn't. You know, I gave him a lot of slack for things he wasn't keeping up with. I just thought, you know, he just can't do it as well as I can. That's all I thought. But then when I finally replaced him, I interviewed a lot of people that time. I think it probably interviewed like 8 or so people. I discovered that there are people who could do what he was doing and do it a lot better. All the shortcomings he had, they were able to get past that, or they had experience that wouldn't so that I wouldn't have the same problems with them as I had with him. So I do recommend that you interview, you know, at least 5 or 8 people and get an idea of what it is that these the experience level of each of them, and also consider the fact that if this is your first virtual assistant, you might want to, you know, learn from the experience, because chances are your first one isn't going to be the one that you keep. If you're lucky, things work out and it all works out fine. But I just found that I just kind of screwed up the first couple of them. And I learned from those experiences. I put all that inside my virtual assistant course so that people don't make the same mistakes I did when I hired. But yeah, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say here is that I think you should hire as many as you feel comfortable, but I would say at least 5 or 8 of them, 5 to 8 of them. Okay, we have about 5 or 6 minutes left. So if you guys have any last minute questions and you're here live, make sure to ask them. And Caroline was asking a question about DSM tool as it works with virtual assistants. So Caroline is saying, when you give a virtual assistant access to DSM tool, won't they automatically also get access to your eBay account? So Caroline has noticed that when she lists an item, she's able to click on it and it takes her right to her eBay account. And that's not actually the way it works. The reason that it's taking you right to your eBay account is because when you click on the item, it takes you to the listing, and you're in a browser that you're already signed into your eBay account with. So if your virtual assistant doesn't have the login information for your eBay account, so they're not logged into eBay with that browser, then when they list the item with DSM tool and they click on that item, it's not going to take them into your eBay account. It's only going to take them to listing, but they won't be able to edit it or go into your eBay account at all. Let's see. All right. Got that one already. I think I answered all the questions that I saved from this week. So yeah, if anyone has any more questions in here. Oh, we got another super chat from Paul L. Puppuccino for Orlando for the hour we stole from him. That's my little puppy, Orlando. Thanks for all the help, as always, applying these golden nuggets as soon as the replay drops. Thanks, Paul L, for the $4.99 super chat. And I'll make sure to buy a special toy for little Orlando with that. So people have been asking me what I do with the super chat money. And people said I have to use it for something kind of fun for myself, because I don't take enough time to really do fun stuff for myself. My new hobby as of the last couple of years has been business. Like, business is my hobby. I spend all my time and all my energy on running my business. I'm really passionate about it. I love it. But it also means I don't really do fun stuff for myself as much as I should, or buy myself like cool, fun stuff, because I don't want to distract myself. So I had this idea of what I can do with this super chat. And the idea was that, as I mentioned before, I'm going to be looking into using websites like Banggood and AliExpress. And one of the things I've always wanted was a drone. But living here in New York City, you can't have a drone here. It's illegal. So what I found were these little like mini racers. They're like this big, and they fly around like a drone, but obviously they're tiny, but they have a camera on them, and you can put on goggles and like fly around with it. Like you have a remote control, and it just seems super cool. It's totally a toy, but it just seemed fun. And they sell them on websites like Banggood and AliExpress. So, and the cool thing about this is that there's a whole community around these little drone racers, and people build them. You get like a really simple one at first, and you build it up with better controllers, better antennas, better goggles. And so I thought it'd be cool to start to like make my own, or to buy my own actually, because I don't want to figure out how to make my own, but maybe it's something I'll do in the future. So I'm going on Banggood and purchasing one of them and having it shipped here. And this is kind of a cop-out for me, because this is also part of an experiment to see if Banggood's a good website to dropship from. So I'll be making a video about the package, how it arrives, the whole shopping experience, and then the quality of this item. Kind of nervous about buying a drone from Banggood or AliExpress, but we'll see what this item is like. It got pretty good reviews, the one I was checking out, and it wasn't a lot of money at all. I think it was like under $100, the one I'm looking at, just to get a good idea of whether it's a good website and whether the items are quality products. So that's something I'll be making a video about soon, hopefully 2 or 3 weeks from now. So if you guys don't want to miss that video, make sure you do subscribe to it, subscribe to the channel, and I'll let you guys know as soon as I get my little toy racer from Banggood. And thanks to Jay Goldie for the $5 super chat, helping the mini drone racing cause / Banggood research. So appreciate that. Oh yeah, I'll tell you guys what the drone is. It is called the Small Pepper, actually. And I think the, what's it called? The title of it is the E0 1.3 if I remember correctly. It's like a kit. It costs $70 on Banggood, but it's really easy to find coupons for Banggood.com if you just Google coupon for Banggood, and then you can get like 10% off. And it comes with everything. It comes with the goggles, comes with the controller, and it comes with the little drone. And I'm like such a nerd when it comes to these gadgets. I love things like them. I try to avoid buying them because they just take up room in my small apartment. But this is kind of a good excuse because it's small and because I'm doing research for dropshipping for you guys. So it's a good excuse. All right, cool. So I think that I'm going to record the first drone flight. Definitely, I'm not going to. I don't know. It's going to be a disaster. I'm probably going to crash it. These little guys are just meant for like flying around, having fun with it. I don't even think you could take it outside because any little wind apparently will blow it off course. But pretty excited for it. Yeah, definitely a business expense. All right, guys. So thanks so much for coming out. Had a lot of fun as always. And as I said, if you don't want to miss any of those future videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And I have a video coming out hopefully later this week as well. Well, I always have a video come out later in the week. So I do these every Tuesday night. And so if you don't want to miss those, make sure to subscribe to the channel for the live videos and hit the bell notification so you get an alert every time I do go live. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I had a great time with you, and have a good night. Or if you're watching this later, have a great day, have a great weekend, or have a good morning, whatever it is. Have a good one.